All right, all right, all right. Let's get into it. So happy to see you here tonight. Welcome to another episode of On the Block with Jen. I am YouTube and your favorite bad girl and devil's advocate, Jen. You can reach me on all social media platforms, On the Block with Jen, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, On the Block with Jen at Gmail for business. Okay, and you guys know what I mean by business. That means no marriage proposals and no asking me out on a date. That's for business. Believe it or not, it's for business. On the Block with Jen at Gmail. We have a special episode for you tonight. Okay, we're talking about all behind the scenes, in front of the scenes, and streaming of filmmaking. All right, there's a lot of buzz on the internet. If your film goes straight to streaming, something wrong with it. It's almost like trying to diminish the process. Before, the joke was, oh, those movies go straight to DVD, and now they go straight to streaming, right? But then why are the bigwigs in Hollywood opting for straight to streaming if it's so low rent? We got some pros coming up today, and they are pressed for time, as professionals usually are. So we're going to try to get them up here really, really quickly. This is a Q&A. You can ask me anything about my experiences over the 20 some odd years in and out of the industry. We have an actor coming up. We have the usual panel guests, except for Lily. Lily is traveling for business. So without another further, let's get these gentlemen up here. I'm going to have to hold it down for the ladies because Lily is not here. You guys, by all means, hold me down in the chat. You know the routine. If you want to support the show, Cash App On the Block with Jen as well. I am easy to find everywhere, okay? If not, you can super chat me. If you have a question for me or any of my guests, please throw it in a super chat. We will pull it up and we will ask, because I'm going to be asking questions too, but I may miss something, okay? Because I know these guys, but that doesn't mean I'm going to take it easy on them. All right, so here we go. Oh, wait, I see another lady. I am saved. I see another lady backstage. So here we go. Let's get the incomparable. One of my favorite directors, and I'm just, I'm not blowing smoke up his butt. One of my favorite guys, truly, madly, deeply, such a generous human being when it comes to filmmaking. He's dropped so much education on filmmaking. If you're not following Mark Harris, you're a dick. Hi.
What's up, Jen? Wow.
What's up,
you know I love you, Jen.
I love you right back, but director, I know you're gonna give me better light than that. Why are you messing with me tonight?
You know what? I looked all over this place for light. The lighting in this place, this is a new place, and the lighting in the hill is terrible. I'm sorry.
Oh,
man.
man.
It's about to get dark anyway, so we're good.
Okay, all right, good. I'm gonna give you a pass this time, Mr. Director.
But I was looking all over for some good light, and the light in here is like terrible.
It's all right. We're gonna get through. Let me bring up my panel, Mr. Haran DeMarco, Saint, no Saint. Watch your mics, guys. Watch your mics. Trey Ryan, actor Trey Ryan, how are you, sir? And our lovely lady, Dana Tipton. How are you, doll?
Hello, everybody.
Hello. So, Mr. Mark Harris, director Mark Harris, writer, producer, director Mark Harris is pressed for time. So I only ask, please watch your mics. If your phones are on, if the baby mamas and the boyfriends are going to be texting and calling, please put your phones on silent so we can get through this as quickly as possible. And I appreciate you much. If your dogs are coming in barking, you know what I mean? Your kids are like, Daddy, Mommy, make sure you mute the mic. It is okay. We all have children. We understand. But I want to get through this as efficiently as possible. Before we start, I always let my panelists and my guests let everyone watching know where we can find you and what your background is in filmmaking. And let's just cut through it quickly. I don't need your resume, your bio. I'm not casting. So just tell us who you are, right? And where we can find you.
Musician and music producer and composer Haran DeMarco. You can find me here on Haran.DeMarco. And you can also catch me on Spotify and Apple under Haran DeMarco.
And I'm No Saint. How are you doing? I'm No Saint. You can find me on Instagram, No Saint, Saint No Saint on YouTube, Saint No Saint on Thread, and I'll pass the mic.
Okay. Dana, where can we find you?
Good evening. My name is Dana Tipton. I'm an actor, producer, and under the management under South Bay Talent Management. and also South Bay Talent Group. And I can be found on IG at DTIP Watt 50 at however that IG goes, and under the South Bay Talent Management Group.
Okay, Trey Ryan, sir, how are you?
I'm
Welcome
doing
to the
well.
block.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm Trey Ryan. You can find me on Instagram at Trey Ryan, Facebook, the whole nine. I got a couple films that are out right now you can watch that are streaming right now. So yeah, you can catch me.
Okay, so you're a straight to DVD actor too, huh?
I am now.
Okay. And I already introduced them, but Mark, would you like to tell the people where to find you or whatever?
Yes. Mark Harris. You can find me on Instagram at Mark Harris at 1555 Filmworks.
Okay. And before anyone asks in the chat, DMs me, Gmails me, where are you casting, Mark? How can we get in your movies? Because they're gonna ask.
Is that a question?
Yes.
Okay. And so what we do, we're casting. We'll be casting pretty soon for quite a few films and TV shows that we have in the works, including one of your projects, of course, Jen. But when we're casting, we're going to use a casting agent, and then I will post the information on my Instagram page for anyone, for all our casting notices.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So please take note. Please follow Mark Harris on his Instagram. Don't bombard him or me talking about where are you guys casting? I heard Mark is doing a project with you. I need to get in. Nah, just go through the motions like we all do. Okay. Unless you're lucky enough to someone slides in your DMs and they're direct and they're like, hey, I wrote something for you. And that's different. Okay. So guys, let's get right into this because Mark is pressed for time. I do want to talk about streaming versus theatrical releases, though, Mark, you've had both. You've had streaming releases and theatrical releases. Why do you think streaming is the new thing? Let's just jump right in. Why do you think streaming is the new go-to to the point where now, quote unquote, Hollywood bigwigs, A-list actors are now, starring in films that go straight to streaming, be it Hulu or Vudu or Netflix and what have you? Why do you think it's the new wave when before, it used to be kind of like looked down upon by Hollywood?
Nothing, but Netflix actually blew it up with the House of Cards. And when House of Cards came out, it was so big on Netflix and with Kevin Spacey, that opened the door for people to take the streaming platform seriously. And from there, then you had some really, really great content and really great television shows. And then at the end of the day, it's like when you deal with Netflix and those companies, Hulu and so forth and so on, they have the money to pay the actors. Say, for instance, if you want Denzel in one of your movies, Netflix can give them $20 million to come in their movie. They're giving Chris Rock and Dave Chappelle $20 million, $40 million for a series. Like, you going to turn that down? You know what I'm saying? So that's why it's the new way. But however, with Netflix give you the money to make your content. Netflix they own the content, which is cool if that's what you want to do, because the payout is what they're going to pay is very, very, it could be worth that at the end of the day, but you're not going to be in a position to, like, if you want to be in a position to pass the content down to your children. However, you can take that money, right? You can buy you some land and you can pass that land down to your children, which is just as valuable and more valuable than those DVDs and those movies.
And what do you opt for? Do you opt for the big check, the big Netflix check usually, or do you no, I want to own it and lease it or whatever? I think you said lease or what's the correct terminology? License the film. And that's why we'll see a film on Vudu 2 years, and then we'll see it on Tubi, and then we'll see it on Netflix, right? Because there's a time limit to the license, of course.
Of course, yeah. It depends on the structure of the deal. Here's the thing. The thing is, because I make my films, I do it on an independent level, and I keep it at a modest budget. I'm able to go in the door and get what I pay for the film plus more for maybe a year and 2 years. However, if Netflix says, okay, I have this project, right? And I want to give you $30 million for this project, and I know at the end of the day, in 5 years, I'm not going to make $30 million off stream it, then I would go with the $30 million. Let's take that $30 million. Then you go out and you invest that $30 million. Again, you invest in places that's going to always return you an investment, and it's worth the investment, where you can pass down from generation to generation. Again, I stress it's always real estate and it's always land. And so it just depends on how the deal is structured and what they're offering at the end of the day. Because it's not an emotional decision. We're not making emotional decisions. Whereas you say, okay, if you know that the film is not going to make a lot of money, but we just never know. But if one company's offer you, let's say $30,000 or $50,000 or $100,000 for your film, and that's for in a year, and Netflix comes and say, I'm going to give you $2 million, but we want the total rights for your film, you have to look at the pros and cons of that deal.
Can you tell us what was the budget of your first film?
Oh, my very first film?
Your very first film.
$500.
I just want to stress that point, because we hear so much in our communities. I ain't got the money. I ain't got the camera. I don't have the money. I don't have the camera. I don't have the crew. And you did it with how many people and $500?
It was just, okay, when I shot my first film, it was just me and my DP. And we shot the film, and, we just went out and we just made, but I made a lot of, like, early on in my career, we made about, I shot a lot with this director name is Ricardo Islas, and we made a total of 10 films, and we would always make these films under $5,000, right? But what I would do is it was a partnership that we had together, right? And as a matter of fact, Ricardo was in my new movie called Let Us Make Eve. He plays one of the actors. Ricardo would shoot because he had editing equipment, he had the cameras, he had lighting. So what he would do is he would shoot my films, and he would edit my films for me. And then when it's time for him to direct his films, what I would do is I would produce his films for him. And because we formed this partnership, we were able to produce so many films over the years. We produced about 10 films, and these films get distribution. With my earlier films, what I would do is I would go door to door. I would sell my films on DVD, because DVDs were then. I would press them up, go door to door, stand in the streets of Chicago, and that's how I was selling for $10. And that's how I was able to continue to make movies on that. I wasn't even looking for distribution. And it's funny because we made a film called Black Butterfly, right? I wasn't even looking for distribution for this movie, right? But I sent the trailer out, and this guy named Ellen Blackwell, who was over at E1 Entertainment, he emailed me. He was like, I want to put this movie out. And that was it. And that was my first distribution deal.
And how many movies did you make prior to that first distribution deal? Would you say?
Just me directing?
Yep.
About 5 movies before that distribution deal.
Okay, so you put in a lot of work before.
Yeah, we put in a lot of work. Yeah.
Okay, so that's the key.
Yes, I started off in making movies in like 2006, and we got a first deal in 2010. But between that time, I was like, we were making films, but we were making films. We were just out here making films, right? And like 3 films a year. And but it took us, like, again, I wasn't even looking for distribution, but it's like, because what I would do is, again, press these DVDs up, go out, sell them. That was a hustle for me, right? And so when we got our first deal, and then I'm like, okay, I see the difference between when your movie's at a Walmart opposed to where you just going door to door. Because when your movie's at Walmart now, that's going to raise the stakes, because now you can go out to different investors and get more and get money to make your movie. And that's what happened after we did Black Butterfly. We did a deal with Image Entertainment to make a movie called Black Coffee with Brett Dismute.
Okay, and before I pass the mic, because I don't want to hog all the questions. Before I pass the mic, what would you, if you can say, what would you say roundabout your budgets are now in comparison to the $500? What would you say now, what you're working with? Yeah, so we're working with $500,000 now. Okay. Yeah, $500,000, and our biggest budget so far was the last 3 movies that we did. And those are like $500,000 a piece. And that's Let Us Make Eve, Black Cats, and South Haven. And so those are budgets we're working with now. And then, but again, like we're doing the projects we're doing this year. Okay, we're doing it on a way bigger budget. Okay. Mine too, right?
That's a TV show. She wrote this TV show about during COVID, right? Was it during COVID?
Yeah, it was during COVID. Mm-hmm.
She pitched it to me. Can I say that? You want to say it? Just leave it out?
Yeah, you can say it if you like.
It's called I'm Not Angry, I'm Puerto Rican.
Yeah.
And she pitched it to me, right? And I was like,
did.
this is a good idea. And then I was like, well, you have to write she wrote every episode.
Yeah.
And wrote every episode. And so every episode is written, and we are here now. You know, we wanted to put it in the right, we wanted to give it the right distribution deal and put it on the right platform. But it's excellent writing. It's funny. It's conscious. It's really good. Yeah.
There are a lot of little jewels in my writing. You know, and you know, Mark, I pitched it to him. I was like, I just threw it out there. I said he'll either hate it or love it. And he called me back right away. He was like, all right, I need 6 episodes. I was like, huh? What? He was like, yeah, I need them by January. I was like, huh? What? I was like, got to typing. Okay, but this isn't about me yet. So I don't want to hog all the questions. Is there someone else on the panel who would like to ask Mark a question? And also chat, by all means, throw the questions into the chat.
Yeah, I have a question. What are your thoughts about how streaming, well, it seems like the public has been more prone to being open to streaming and binging and so on and so forth, because at the moment in time, the box office is having a hell of a problem right now. Like, a lot of franchises aren't really moving like they used to. A couple of duds this summer, particularly this summer. Like, do you feel that it's becoming increasingly more difficult to get the public to leave the home and go to the movie theater anymore?
I don't think so, because you still have that family experience. And I think what they're doing now, they're just making more of the Marvel movies, the put out the show. So if you're looking at movies around 5 to 10 million, those movies you're not going to find. You would, but you're not going to too much find them at the theater. They're going to have the more bigger budget movies, the blockbuster movies, and because they want to give you that blockbuster experience when you go to that movie. You know, when you're going to see a Marvel or X-Men or the Black Panther, wherever you're going to see, when you talk about those superhero movies, you want to have that experience in the theater. And so that's what they're moving towards now. So movies like dramas and romantic comedies and things of that nature, those are going to go more so towards the streaming. Or it's happening now.
Right. And that's smart, because that's actually, I literally say, if it's a Marvel movie, or I have to see it in the theater, I have to experience it in the theater. But I notice, like, whether it's romance or things like that, unless it's horror, because I like horror in the theater as well. If it's like a romance or rom-com or something like that, I'm like, I always say, I'll wait for it to be on Netflix or Tubi or Vudu or whatever. But yeah, Marvel, you have to be in the theater. The seats have to vibrate. You already know. Right. Pause. Anyone else have a question for
Mark?
I
have a question. So I'm curious, like, you know, once COVID hit, I think the streaming online stuff exploded. Obviously, nobody was going to the theaters. Nobody could go to the theaters. I'm curious, though, from a writer and a production and a director sense, did it open up for more, this streaming online, all these different streaming apps, does it open it up for more people to actually get in the industry that might not have had an opportunity in the past? Like, has it opened up more doors?
Have you seen Tubi?
I think you mean. Or are you talking about like on the studio level, or are you talking about like the film industry in general?
Yeah, in general. Have you seen? In other words,
yeah, absolutely. Like, as far as, this is a great time to be in the film industry, because you have places like Tubi where you can make a movie and you can make a TV show. And let me tell you, like, if Tubi were to go back on how they're on their content, because, and when I say their content, right, so you have some content on Tubi that's, the production value is not that high, right? Now, if Tubi start to make the decision where they're gonna start pulling that content or not picking up any more of that content, then they become just another Netflix. What's so unique about Tubi is because you can go on Tubi and you can find those films that you would not see nowhere else, and that's the benefit of Tubi. And Tubi, they should never ever go get away from that concept. But this is a great time right now to be in the film industry. A great time.
Any questions?
I have I have a question. So we wrote it, we shot it, we edited it. Tell me, what are your rules of thought when it goes towards venting distribution companies?
So basically, the best thing to do is this, right? If you know the genre that you're going, if it's a horror, so you know you can go to like a Blumhouse, not can go to a Blumhouse, but you can, those are avenues you can go to. Now, let me ask you a question. Are you talking about for financing, or so we're not talking about for finance because it's already shot?
No, right. It's already shot. That's what I say. It's shot. Just as far as distributing, going like, streaming it, but as far as vending, which distribution company we should go through, because there's so many out there now. Like we said, once COVID hit, streaming went wild. So there's so many distribution companies. There's so many nays and yays about it. So how do you go about, venting, a good distribution company?
Mm-hmm.
Do you mean vetting?
Vetting. Yeah, I'm saying vetting.
Okay. So as far as like the distribution companies, there's so many out here, right? There's so many distribution companies out here. But then you have it's like a double-edged sword, right? Because you have Netflix and you have Hulu, you have Tubi. Netflix, Hulu, and Tubi in the streaming and All Black and the BT Hers, most times they do not want to deal directly with the filmmaker. So they would prefer to deal with the distribution company. And the reason they prefer to deal with a distribution company because most filmmakers don't know how to deliver a film. And delivering a film is tough. You know what I'm saying? You need and so a lot of not distribution companies, but a lot of the streaming platforms don't want to deal with the filmmakers because of that reason. So therefore, you have the middleman, which is the distribution company. And the distribution company, they're not just taking the one film to these platforms, they're taking multiple films, right? And so take me, I'd rather deal with a producer that's going to bring me, or a distribution company that's going to bring me 20 film, opposed to dealing with this one filmmaker. 20 filmmakers are going to bring me one film each. But when you're looking at look at the type of film that you have, and you just go through, like, you have the vertical entertainments, you have the All Blacks, you have, you just have to go through and look at the different distribution companies and look at, okay, the last films they put out in the last 2 years. If there's something similar to your film, those are the distribution companies that you want to reach out to. And make sure that you have a trailer cut, because they're more likely to look at a trailer than a full-length film. And if the trailer is interesting enough, they're going to reach out to you and say, okay, we want to take a look at the entire film.
Absolutely.
Mark, what do you mean by deliver a film?
Yeah, so when you deliver a film, right? So once the film is done, and once you sign a deal with a distribution company or a platform or a network, you have to deliver the film, meaning that you have to come up with all the paperwork. You have to have all the music cleared. You have to have the film has to pass quality control, which is QC, meaning that once the film is done, you have to make sure that they look for, like you said, my lighting, and they look to see if the lighting is good. They look for the sound. So the film has to pass QC. And so then you have to have E&O insurance, right? That's the errors and omissions insurance, basically saying that, if some of any of these documents are falsified, or you have a problem with the music, and music is always difficult when it comes to clearing. When it comes to clearing the music, because you have so many different artists, right, that's working on one song, and everyone has to sign off on that. If the artist or the artist that doesn't own that particular song, everyone has to sign off on that song. So when you deliver a film, you need all of your documents, all of your legal documents, in order to, and you have to send all of that stuff over to the distribution company. And what the distribution company does, they sift through all of that paperwork in the QC, and they do a QC, because they have to deliver everything over to the streaming platforms. But it's a lot, but it's worth it at the end of the day, because it protects you. It protects you as a filmmaker, and protects the it protects everyone, as a matter of fact.
Mm-hmm.
I
Trey?
would like to say that. I'm
Okay.
so sorry, but
No, it's okay. Trey, did you have a question?
Yeah, just a different perspective on the other side of the camera for me. I'm in front of the camera more so than behind it. As you're casting your talent for your films, looking at resumes, there's a lot of streaming films. Does that turn you off or your casting director off? Are you okay with that? You know what I mean? Do you want that big film that's on your resume to kind of jump out at you? How do you feel about that?
So are you asking, like, when I'm looking at a resume, if I see an actor who has a lot of movies on a streaming platform?
Correct.
Okay, it depends.
Okay.
It depends because there are actors that if they have, you have some actors who have, like, let's just say 30 movies with Maverick, right? That would turn, more than likely, I'm gonna just speak for myself, that would turn me off because you have so many movies with Maverick, and we know the reputation with Maverick Entertainment, right? And so that would be a turn off for me as a director. I like actors, like if you're looking at the, I'm just speaking about the talent that I have worked with consistently. Sure. And Jen can tell you, I've worked with the same actors over and over again, and I always bring in new ones and I change them out. But consistently, I've worked with Corey Hendricks, right? But Corey Hendricks is on the TV show The Bear, and Corey doesn't just do anything. So you're not gonna go on Maverick and see Corey in Maverick movies. And so that does turn some filmmakers off, you know what I'm saying? But it just depends on the filmmakers. And because I don't want when my movies come out, I don't want my movies they see this one actor who's in 30 Maverick movies and they skip past my movies because they say, well, he's been in 30 Maverick movies and I'm not going to watch his movie because I've already seen this man in 30 Maverick movies. You know what I'm saying? And so that would turn me off. Yeah.
Gotcha. It's a balance. I got you.
It's a balance. It's definitely a balance. Yeah.
That's interesting because I do notice with Tubi specifically, I see the same actors on so much artwork that I don't even care what it is. I'm like, again, and they're just constantly, you can't tell. The problem with that is you can't tell one film from the other, right? Because it's the same 3 or 4 people on the artwork. Another thing is, like, oh my God, do we have to work on our artwork? Our artwork is trash, man. Like, because it's a collective of actors or new budding actors. They want to put, I noticed the habit is putting all 10 people on the cover. You don't need 10 people on the cover. Even if y'all are friends, it just looks horrible. I wish they'd stop doing that. Mark, hot seat. Who's it better to work with? Women or men actors?
Yeah.
What?
Men all day. Well, let me just explain to you why.
Okay,
Excuse
good.
me?
Why.
I'll put my blade away.
So a guy go come in. He's gonna. He doesn't have to get a lot of makeup.
Okay.
And it saves a lot on time. He doesn't have to get his hair done and all that kind of stuff. He come in, we're ready to shoot. When the actress comes in, you got to get the makeup, you have to do the hair. So she takes longer. She takes longer with the glam squad than a man's going to take, right? So for me, it's like I just shot a movie in Belize with nothing but women as the lead. You know what I'm saying? And look, I mean, so I know it takes a minute, but as far as talent, it's just I don't measure that on talent. I'm just measuring that on
time.
How we move it on time. But talent is man, I just like to work with great people.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And Let Us Make Eve, you guys have to see the trailer to that. Blew me away. Like, truly, madly, deeply blew me away. And I've watched a lot of independent films straight to streaming or whatever. And I was like, okay, Mark, okay. I was like, squeeze us. No, absolutely beautifully shot. The cinematography, the background. I mean, you were in Belize, so that's its own character. The women are beautiful. And it's funny you should say that they spent a lot of time in makeup because they were in Belize and they looked, dewy and beautiful. It didn't look like they had a lot of makeup on.
They did not.
Beautiful, natural women. It didn't look overdone. It didn't look contrived. It didn't look overprocessed. So when you get the chance, please watch the trailer to Let Us Make Eve. I was like, woo, Okay, salute. What do you look for in an actor when you're auditioning? What do you look for?
Natural talent, right? And easy
Mhm.
to work with. Uh,
Mhm.
but definitely someone who's easy to work and natural talent, and
Mhm.
you can spot that. You can
Mhm.
spot like for example, right? When and I'm gonna use Corey Hendry as an example because I've been working with Corey for a long time. And
Mhm.
like for my first film, not first film, but a web episode we did, I had
Mhm.
Corey to audition. I knew he was going to blow the. I just had to audition. 'Cause I want to see how humble he, not basically humble, but I
Right,
just want to
right.
see how it is to work with him, right? Because
Mhm.
you know that he's very talented. He's like, okay, so he auditioned for it, but I knew I was going to give him the role in the first. So I've been working with him consistently.
Mhm.
Since I think that's 2017 we shot that. Yeah.
Wow.
So I look for like natural talent, and then after that is like, is this person easy to work with? Because I've worked with some people, I'm like, yo, I can't do it again.
Tell us who they are.
No, no.
No, no.
No,
I
no.
will. I will say this. I've been on set with you, and I've seen some pretty wild, behavior. Not nothing crazy, but just like things that. And you were so patient and always had a smile on your face. I mean, I would have been throwing like the freaking the clapper across the room. You know what I mean? If it was me, like, what the fuck? And Mark always had a smile on his face. And I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
looking around like, we're waiting for you. Like,
Oh
you
yeah.
know what I mean? And always had a smile on his face. As far as your crew, let's talk about the crew. Like, how
Mhm.
do you pick the crew? Because when I was on set with you guys, it was very much a family dynamic. You hire a lot of women. Which
Mhm.
was nice to see, and women that are talented. Like you're not just
Mhm.
putting women in there for let's get like really really good talented DPs and what have you. So how do you pick your crew?
I start off first with my DP,
Mhm.
but as it relates to like my post production crew, like
Mhm.
the person who does my sound, my editing, my music. I've been working with these people for a very long time, so we know what we want, right? So that is taken care of.
Mhm.
But my DP is I first look for my DP,
Mhm.
and once I get my DP, I allow my DP to bring in her because for the last 3 films I've been using women as DPs. Like for the
Mhm.
last 4 films, as a matter of fact, women as
Wow.
DPs, and I allow them to bring in their crew, and we work from there. And but as far as like the my hair, makeup, wardrobe, these are people I've been working with for a very long time. Yeah.
Mhm. And that's interesting. That's a lot of DPs that are women. Do you think that they just have a meticulous eye, or you like their style, or?
I love their style.
Mm.
Like I love their style. I work with Alexis. Okay, so we just shot a film last year, like 2 films back to back.
Mhm.
Uh, South Haven and a film called Black Cat. So we shot South Haven. We shot it for 12 days. We took a 1 day break and we went into a production on the second film and we shot that one for 11 days. And I did this with her name is Alexis, right? And a female DP. And we were humping, and she just got a great eye. Let Us Make It was shot by Sherry, and who's from LA, and she came to Belize. We shot it, and right now we're in talks to do like 3 films together that we're going to do feature films together. But and then I've shot 2 films, which is the film that you and I worked on, which is White People Money, and
Mhm.
movie that's come out, Broken Bounds, with Gigi,
Mhm.
who's a director, a
Mhm.
DP. And they just, for me, I like female DPs. They're just very meticulous, and the eye for detail is amazing. And I love that. Yeah.
We are quite meticulous. We're quite meticulous. What is that spot there? Yeah.
Oh yeah. So
Any? Go
can I
ahead. Go ahead. Yes,
okay, when I
please.
was like, which reminds me, right? When you said, "What is that spot there?" Right.
Mhm.
So you know how quickly I'm like 2 to 3 takes and we're gone. I
Yes,
do
I
3
know.
takes, and Alexis like, "That's all you're gonna do?" I was like, "Yeah, go. You want another one?" She said, "I would like another one." And I was like, "Okay, let's do another." But 2 to 3 takes, and I'm out. you know. And but Alexa was like, I need another one, and, you know. But great to work with. Love working with. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the DP work on Let Us Make Eve, the trailer alone makes you want to watch the film. So she's a badass, whoever she is. I haven't met her
Sherry
yet.
shot that one.
Oh, it's Sherry? Yeah, well,
Yeah.
Sherry, amazing. I was like, wow. Yes, you do rush the takes. I was like, we gotta do this.
Well, we shot 16 hours with you.
Oh my, yes, you did. Can you say that again so they know I put the work in? Okay.
Yeah. So like, we flew you in the day before, right? We started that morning, and we shot like 16 hours for that day. And you were in every scene that day. Like, but we were humping. We were humping.
Yes. I mean, by the end, I was breaking down. Like my brain was fried. Like I was stumbling my words, and Mark was like, "Come on, we're almost done." And I was like, "I can't speak. I can't speak." But it was, you know, what made it good was, again, the crew and the other actors and stuff. And Barton Fitzpatrick is a beast. Oh my God, he's from The Chi, and you used him again in, is it Black Cats?
I used him in Black Cats and Let Us Make Eve, and as a matter of fact, the next few projects we're working on is going to be Bart and Star, and
Nice. Yeah, Barton and Corey, amazing actors. Any other questions about the industry or anything like that?
I just have a statement to make.
Okay.
One of the things, that, with black directors, when people who just, indie films, as a composer, I made it my business to actually work with them more so than the larger studios, because there's a lot of black directors and writers with some amazing visions, and the end product of what they're doing, it really sometimes the music that they're using just lacks the impact. I mean, because a lot of times they have to get stock stuff, because I get it. I mean, you spent the budget on every fucking thing else, you know what I mean? So at the end of the day, you don't really have that much for the music. So what I usually did was that I would bring my own training to these people, and I'd sit down with the director and the writer, and I would just, basically say, hey, what's the vision of your film? What's the soul of your film? What's the personality of your film? And let's sit down and figure it out. You know what I mean? Whether it's, just because it's an urban film doesn't mean that we got to throw hip hop at it every freaking 5 minutes or whatever.
Absolutely.
Or, you know what I mean? We don't got to do some cliche shit. Especially those the directors who have dramas. Music is very important in those movies, because the music pushes the scene forward. It impacts the message. So I tend to direct them, I tend to deal with those directors, a lot more early on in my career, more so than, the bigger guys, because I love to, and there's more breathing room, and they want to try stuff, man.
That's amazing.
I say that to say, if you need some music, come holler at me.
Yes, absolutely.
I do have a question. So when you're gonna go into production of a film, what pushes you to the location you choose? I know there's tax credits, like I know Atlanta, New Orleans has big scenes. Detroit at one time had a lot of movies being filmed there, and then then you're talking about Belize. How do you make that select? Like, what is the determining factor for you to pick a location?
Well, most of my films have been shot either in, well, that's not true. Well, when I shot my earlier films, they were all shot in Chicago. When I shot like Black Coffee, it was shot in LA, because that's where the investors, which is Brett Disney, wanted the film to be filmed at. And when we shot My First Love and Stock Option, it was in Atlanta, because I was doing a deal with Swirl Films. But when I started to get my own funding, which is like, then I started to pick the locations where I wanted to shoot at, right? And so I've been going to Belize for the last 12 years. And the first time I ever went to Belize, I said to myself, I have to make a movie here. So it took me 12 years to do it. And so when I have a farm in Michigan, and when I sat there and I wrote the first draft to Let Us Make Eve, I based it in in Belize. And Jen read the first draft of the letter. It was called Christmas Eve at that particular time.
Yes, I did. I read the whole thing and made my notes and everything, Mark.
Yes. And so it was, it was written for Belize. And so we have like Belize is a beautiful place. As you know, if you see the trailer, you see how beautiful it is. It's like the people, it's an English speaking country as well. Yeah. So you've been there before?
No, but I know I've looked for retirement. I've looked in Belize.
Belize is the perfect place, right? That's where I'm headed to.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we're going to make more. So we're going to do a studio. We're definitely doing a film studio in Belize, and that's where I'm going to have my my company, and that's where I'm going to make my content, and it's going to be in Belize. I'm definitely leaving the States and do everything in Belize.
Yeah. Nice.
Mark is a passport bro.
Well, let me say before you go to Belize, I'm in Vegas, and they're opening up out here in Vegas. They're about to build 1 or 2 studios out here. Have you contemplated maybe coming out this way?
No. So here's the thing: is for me, it's not just the tax breaks and the credits. It's the what's the word I'm looking for?
The white devils that run the country?
Like in Belize, there's just this like feeling you have, like, so when I go to Belize, like, it's just for my mentally, it's just like, spiritually, it's like, that's why, so for me, it's not just like the money, and it's just how I get when being in Belize. Yeah.
That's how I felt when I visit. There's tax breaks in Puerto Rico too. That's how I felt when I went to Puerto Rico. Like it was hard to come back to this country. It was weird. I was like, it's healing. It may sound goofy, but it's healing to be somewhere where there's nothing.
Healing.
Yeah, but faces and melanin. It is healing. Yeah. It is so healing. And then you come back to the States and it's like,
Yeah.
like,
yeah.
I gotta go back. So it's healing. I recommend people visit the Caribbean.
That's it. And that's true. And I only say that not because I'm here, it's because it's opening up. And before all the big wigs get in here, which they are already trying to do it. I know Mark Wahlberg, he's talking about building a studio out here. I just think we need to, set ground out here before they just take over.
Mark, I have to send you like the plans that they have, and there's a video. Mark Wahlberg's coming out here. You have to see what he's planning. I'm gonna send you the video so you can see. Right. He's trying to turn this into like a little Atlanta.
Right.
A lot of Hollywood is coming out here, so it's going to be very, very interesting. He's constantly talking about it, and they're talking about building and where they're going to build. Like, so he's right on the cusp. I do want to talk about, genre. Hold on, we have the little. I got to do it, guys. I got to do it. I got to do it. Mark, first of all, your content is not hood content. You have real stories. Okay. That's one of the things that impressed me about you when you and I first met. Okay. Because a lot of people contact me and I was like, I don't want to, I've held a gun in every damn movie I've ever been in, right? But I told you before, I fell in love with the script. And when it's comedy, if I'm laughing while reading, I know it's a great script, right? Because it's hard to be funny via text. So I was like, yeah, I want to be a part of this. And she was a badass too. So I was like, I'm a badass. She's a badass. She's a badass.
Oh, you're talking about white people money. Yeah, you had a gun, yeah.
Yeah, I had a gun too, though. But it was funny. I wasn't shooting anyone and they weren't shooting me like the other films I've been in. What do you think about, say, like Tubi or whatever, or just us as people of color? Why do we gravitate towards the hood genre, the shoot 'em up genre, the drug dealer genre? Even I've seen people who aren't even from that life. Why do you think that happened? Because you're succeeding and striving, and none of your films are about that, which is not common in our business for independent filmmakers. It seems like the go-to is like, you get a gun, everybody get a gun.
Mm-hmm. I think for most of us, right, and one of the things that we do is we base the things that we create based off our experiences in life. And most of our experiences in life that we don't even know that we have was laying in our subconscious mind, which is the trauma that we go through in life, right? And so that's why you see a lot of films like people like, this is what I know. But the things that we know is based off the trauma that's in our subconscious mind, right? And that's why a lot of people write the content that we write. You understand what I'm saying? If we can break away from like the thing about the ego and trauma is the fact that we don't even realize it's so subtle. We don't even realize that it's there, and realize that that's the reason that we're making the decisions that we make. But once we become aware of the trauma that we have to go that we have, and be aware of the ego, then we can make more sound decisions. So it's not anyone's fault. It's just the fact that this is what we've been raised and programmed to do, and this is what we know. But we have to go through different experiences in life to say, okay, this is not the content that I want to create. Now, that's not to say that because I create certain content that I don't deal with. Look, listen here. I was looking at a video, right? And the lady says in the video, the average human being has a trauma that stems back from 14 generations. And that doesn't, like, if you believe in past lives and things like that, that's not including our past lives and all that stuff. So we all deal with trauma, right? But with my situation is the fact that I just made a conscious decision to make the type of content that I wanted to make. Now, in making that content, I had to ask myself this, right? I have to ask myself, am I making, like, why am I making this type of content? You understand what I'm saying? When you talk about My First Love, Black Coffee, Black and Privilege, White People Money, why am I making this type of content? Like, what's the purpose? What's the reason? So that's one of the things that I had to look at and examine within myself and say, okay, I want to make content. I want to make content that when people watch this content, that it can change. I mean, they can look at it and say, okay, there can be some type of change in our behavior. And that is that, but at the same time, right, I had to look at myself and say, I needed a change in my behavior, and my own content, allowed that to happen. And the content that I created or have created, and what I'm creating now allowed that to happen. So it's based off the trauma that we go through. And it's based off this, the programming in our subconscious mind, which, that is where our creativity comes from, our subconscious mind, and that's why people create the things that we create. And a lot of times, we don't even know what we create. You know what I'm saying? Like, honestly, like, especially when you, like, I'm gonna just keep it real with you, right? When we created some type of content, when we created content and it's like pretty much conscious content, right? A person can look at what you created on screen or read what you created, and they can give you a clear understanding of what your project is about. Because we're writing, right? We're channeling, right? We're channeling the what our higher self is telling us, and we're just writing, right? And a person can look at this and say, this is what this means. You be like, oh shit. That's why you can look at a movie like a Star Wars, right? Or you can look at a movie like Get Out, and it can have different meanings to it. And Jordan Peele can look back and say, well, I didn't think about it that way, but that's a nice way to look at it. Because what he's doing, he's channeling that what has been told to him, and people are looking at it and they're getting different perspectives from it. You understand what I'm saying? Like E.T. and Independence Day and those type of content that lasts for a very long time. That's what happens. We write from our subconscious mind.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think you find that a lot with songs when people ask, "Oh, I think this song means that," and the person that wrote the song is like, "That's not actually what I meant," or they'll just say, "Whatever it means to you, it means to you." But I have another question. Who is your influence? Like, what made you want to be a director? Who influenced you and why?
Early on, it was definitely Quentin Tarantino and Spike Lee and Kevin Smith. Those are my three favorites, right? But my top favorite is Martin Scorsese, like a Martin Scorsese fan. But growing up, my favorite was John Hughes, 60 Candles, Breakfast Club. That was my favorite, director and my favorite movies. The Dolomite movies, that had a great influence on me. And those are the movies growing up that I watched. But as I got a little bit older and started to understand and got more seriously into the film business, or studying the film business, then I started studying Kevin Smith, Quentin Tarantino, Spike Lee, Martin Scorsese. Those are like the filmmakers that Charles Burnett. I can't forget about Charles Burnett, that I've always looked up to.
First of all, kudos to you for not being a trauma pusher, like many Black directors are. I'm assuming that the fact that you've chosen, and it's clear that based on your influences, you have some very eclectic tastes. And I'm sure that has influenced your work. Would you say that the fact, again, that you're not a trauma pusher, it has kept certain doors from being opened to you?
No, because here's the thing is, I don't look at it that way. And some people can I've been told many times during my career, right? I should do this, and that. As we say, and I'm putting this in quote, you'll blow up. You know what I'm saying? And I decided not to do that, do that type of content. And I never looked at it as trying to look at it as this business as trying to go through a door. That's what I'm saying early on. I looked at it as, I didn't even when I started making movies, I didn't go to LA to even look at seeking distribution. I'm like, I'm going to distribute my own films, right? And so I decided early on that I'm going to open my own door. I'm going to create my own lane. Because I can't give anyone that kind of power over me to say, okay, if I say something that someone doesn't like, that they can just destroy your career, right? But you always gonna have opportunities. Whereas if they say, okay, we don't want to put your film out on Netflix or Hulu, then create your own platform. With the social media now, and where you have a direct link to the consumer. And so I never looked at this business as me trying to go through a door or sit at the table. I do partnerships, and that's the only thing I'm interested in. I'm not interested in being hired this or hired. I'm interested in doing partnerships and lucrative partnerships with different platforms and networks.
Do you think that the industry now is saturated, and anybody that has a budget is just throwing a film out there, though they don't have a vision? I've worked, on many indie films, and, on set, it's been a very barbershop atmosphere, where it's like all of, some guy just got all his friends together, they got some money, and now they're calling themselves filmmakers, and it's like girls with big butts and guns everywhere and drugs or whatever. Do you think it's saturated because it's so easy to get in now?
No, I don't think the industry, I don't think no industry is saturated. And the reason why I believe in a free market, meaning that put the content out there, and the best content is going to rise to the top. And so that's my take on it. So I never look at any industry that we have and say this industry is saturated. It's like, okay, it's a free market. Put it all out there and let the best rise to the top. Yeah.
Okay, that's what we do on the block with Jen, because people are like, y'all should argue, y'all should fight, y'all should. No, this is what we want to do. We good. Okay, y'all go watch that other channel. You want to see people, fighting each other and what have you.
Right. Can I?
Yeah, please, Dana.
Yeah, I kind of want to direct this both to Mark and to Trey, both. Mark as a director, Trey as an actor, on how streaming opens up opportunities for actors. Yay or nay? How has it affected you, Trey, and you, Mark, as a director?
It's opened up a lot of doors. There's a lot of ways to be seen now, which is a good thing. I think that's part of the evolution. You know what I mean? I think you have to evolve, and the problem is with that is that while we're in a writer's strike right now, the pay hasn't always evolved with it also. But from an actor standpoint, I like the fact that I can be seen on TV many different ways, for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, this is like I said earlier, this is the perfect time to be in this business because you have so many platforms, and you have many more platforms coming up. So this is a perfect time to be in this business, and there are great opportunities. So with the Netflix, with the Hulus, with the All Blacks, with the stars, so I say go create your content and with especially with the Tubies. You know what I'm saying? The Tubi is putting everything up there, and Tubi understands, like what I was just saying, Jen. They understand the free market. Like we don't put everything up there, and what's going to rise to the top is going to rise to the top. And so this is a great opportunity for filmmakers and for actors. And something Trey said, right? He says that it provided an opportunity, but the pay hasn't changed. So that's one of the things that I always stress with actors, right? And with directors is to make sure that if you're working with on a project, an independent project, and if you're able to do a partnership with that filmmaker, do a partnership with that filmmaker. So you may not take as much money up front, or you may get a little money up front, but at the end of the day, you're gonna make some money off this, off the content. And the reason why you can make money off the content is, and you have to be very aware of how a deal is structured. So when we did, I'm just say this, right? When we did the deal with Stars for White People Money, we did that deal with a distribution company and not directly with a platform. So when we did the deal with Vertical Entertainment. And this was during COVID, right? We had an offer with money up front from quite a few platforms, right? Not platform, distribution companies. But what what Vertical was offering, they said, we're not gonna give you any money up front, but this is how we're gonna do the deal. We're gonna structure the deal. First money in. And I'm like, cool. So with Let Us Make Eve, that's, so if you can get money, when you do a deal, and if these companies don't want to give you any money up front, do a deal where you can get first money in. That means that as soon as they make $1, you get 70 cents off that dollar. You could do a 70-30 split or however you want to do it. And make sure that they don't tag on the distribution fee. Very quickly, what happens is that once a distribution company, they distribute your film, what they do is they say, okay, we're going to do a deal, whereas we're going to do a 70-30 split, meaning that you get 70 and we get 30. But then we're going to do a distribution fee, and they may do a distribution fee for, let's say 35%. So they're getting 25%, they're getting 30% plus the 25%. And so they get a majority of your film, because they're getting, then they take out the money for marketing and so forth and so on, whereas you would never see any money off your film. So when you structure the deal, you structure the deal with first, the minute they make $1, you get your 70 cents off that dollar, or you get your 50 cents off that dollar, so forth and so on. And don't go with the distribution fee, because they don't need to do a distribution fee.
Is that, I'm just trying to be clear, is that like take gross versus net? Is that what you're talking about, or is it more complex than, okay.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Speaking of genres and things like that, what do you think about, Mark, when someone like 50 Cent, and we know the programs that he's putting out, his 3 programs are #1 in Black households, all 3, Power, and I forgot the name of the other 2. What do you think about that? Is that what we want to see?
I think 50 is interesting, right? I love 50. First of all, I think he's interesting, and 50 knows how to market. And that's the thing. The thing is, because 50 Cent knows how to market a program, and that's what people want to see. He's very interesting, and 50 is relatable, right? When you're on 50 Cent's Instagram page, he's relatable. You know what I'm saying? You may comment on a 50 Cent, and 50 Cent may respond to you. Like, you could be anybody, he may respond to you. People like that. Even he may be very disrespectful, whatever, but people like that because he's like your uncle or your brother or your cousin, and you can relate to 50 Cent. And because you relate to 50 Cent, you want to support him, right? And that's the thing. So that's opposed to like some producers, right? The content is positive, great, but they're not relatable. And so people are like, shit, you're not relatable. I'm not going to support you because I don't understand. I don't even understand you. So that plays a lot into what people are watching, and people don't understand the psychology of that. You know what I'm saying? So it's how relatable you are. And it's not just that people just want to see hood stuff. It's not that, because a great show, which is the Keenan, with Tracy Ellis Ross.
Mhm.
Blackish.
Blackish?
Blackish was a great show. This Is Us, a great show. You know what I'm saying? Those are great shows, you know. But again, like you don't know too much about the producers. And then when you hear about the producers, then you know when you see them on interviews, you're like most people can't relate to them. You know what I'm saying? But 50, you can relate to 50, and that's why his shows do so well.
Yes,
Yeah,
he's very smart. What's one of the biggest mistakes you made, Mark, and how did you overcome it? What's one of the biggest mistakes you made during your journey? And you were like, "Oh, how am I going to get out of this?" And how'd you get out of it?
The biggest. That's a good question, Jen. Oh man, one of the biggest mistakes I made in my journey.
No mistakes, huh?
Yeah, I made plenty. I'm trying to pick out which one though. But
the one that really hurt, where you was like, how am I going to get out of this?
I think, okay, let me give you an example. So when we did Black Coffee, so I was so used to, and like again, these are a learning experience, right? So every mistake I've made, every single mistake I've made, I looked for the lesson in that mistake. Every single one. So when we did Black Butterfly, we did a distribution deal, right? So we financed, it was nothing but like $9,500, right? We went in, we got upfront, we got residuals and stuff, so forth and so on. So after that, we did a deal with Image Entertainment for Black Coffee. And this is like my first real distribution deal where someone's going to actually give me a okay budget to do my movie. And so I was so gung-ho and so desperate to do this movie, right? Desperation kills you each and every time, right? Not literally, but in the long run, right? So I was so desperate to do this movie. I was like, okay, I just gave over 25 years and gave everything up to do this movie. And when I looked at the deal, after the movie was done, and I'm saying I'm responsible for residuals, I'm responsible for this. I'm like, this is just a bad deal. And so this is what happened. And I'm gonna tell you another situation what happened, right? Recently, this is what happened. So I'm like, I need to get out of this deal. This is how things work. The universe works on your behalf. This happened. So someone from the company sent out a report of how much Black Coffee made. And I wasn't supposed to be on that report. And I got the report and I said how much the movie made. And I used that as leverage to get that money because I was going to sue. And plus to not just get that money back, but get my rights back to Black Coffee. So they gave me all my rights back to Black Coffee. And plus I got paid what they owed me. And they owed me a lot of money off that movie. And so another thing is when we did, I was going through a divorce when we were doing Let Us Make Eve. So I couldn't use my own resources. So what I had to do was I went to, I got an MG, which is a minimum guarantee, basically saying that once a minimum guarantee is basically you go to a distribution company and they say, okay, what we're going to do, we want to give you, we will, once the movie is made, this is how much money we would give you for the movie, right? And so I got an MG and I went out and I got financing to get for the movie, right? And once the movie is done, you have to give the movie to the distribution company because that's what the deal is, right? And so once the movie Let Us Make Eve was done, right? And I'm looking back, I'm like, this is a bad deal. It was like a terrible deal, but it was a deal where I really didn't have. I wanted to do this movie, and I didn't have any other. For me, it was no other option, and this was like, okay, they're gonna give me so. I delivered the movie to them, right? And once I delivered the movie to them, I'm like, this is like a bad deal. So I was in Belize. We're in Belize screening Let Us Make Eve to the Belizean people, right? And the lead actress, Jasmine Burke, called me up, right? She was like, so where's the movie going to go? I'm like, it's going to go here. And she's like, I'm like, I have no, like, this is the deal I made with them. She's like, well, Mark, why don't you just call, email Screen Media? This is the company, Screen Media, and say, we want our movie back. I'm like, they're not gonna give us our movie back. She said, why don't you just do it? Just try it. So a couple of days later, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna think positive. I said, I'm gonna just tell you right now, they're gonna give us our movie back. She said, okay, do it. So I sent the email out, and I'm like, we want our movie back. And God is my witness. Like maybe 3 or 4 days later, they was like, sure. And we got our movie. We have all of our rights to Let Us Make Eve back.
Whoa.
Those were some of the mistakes I made. And whereas they, looking back, I would never make those mistakes again. Never make those mistakes again. But it all worked out because, we just did a deal for Let Us Make Eve. We did a deal that people really don't see in this industry with All Black and BT at the same time. And and people are like, how do you get on All Black and BT at the same time? Because they're rivalries, right? But we met because the power of just asking. Look, I want to put it on BT. I want to put it on All Black. This, if you want the film, this is what we have to deal with. And BT said yes, and they said if All Black is cool with it, we're done. We'll do it. And I hit up Brett, and I was like, yo, Brett. He's like, yo, if BT's cool with it, let's do it. And so it's coming out on both platforms, All Black and BT. And then also the script was actually it's in the Academy, the Oscars, the Academy Library, the screenplay. And
wow.
Yeah, and then we may be screening it for the British Film Institute and
Nice.
October, and they reached out to us. They want to screen it too. So it paid off.
Yay. When does it drop on BET and All Black?
August 17th.
August 17th, ladies and gentlemen. I know that's going to blow on BT and All Black. I know that movie, the trailer alone. Thank you for the super chat. Don Levon, the hobbyist, says, hi, panel. I just tuned in and I am taking notes. Mark, really quickly, since we're on the subject of money, if you don't have a team that's all putting money in the pot and you don't have the rich uncle, what's the easiest way to raise funds for your film? Because that's like one of the number one problems that people have is, I have this great script. I know some friends who are acting it, we don't have money to do it. What would you recommend people do to raise funds for a film, even if it's a low budget, $3,000, $5,000? What would you say?
Okay, let me tell you something. That I'm glad you asked that question, because that question actually kind of piggyback off the Let Us Make Eve deal, right? The easiest way to to get financing for your movie is to attach talent. That is the easiest way. So meaning that, say if you have a script, right, and you attach, when I say attach talent that that the networks like, and that they're going to get you your money back, right? So if you have, let's say, for instance, Amy Joseph attached to your project, we know Amy was very big on Snowfall. And then you have a Gabriel Dennis attached. So with a Gabriel Dennis who's on the show, what's that show? Black Women Sketch Show, right? And she's on Upshaw. So if you have the two of them attached, then you throw in a little rail, and so you have those three actors. So you can take and you have them attached to a project. You could take that project to Lionsgate, and Lionsgate, okay, this is how much we want to give you for this project, right? Now they may not cut the check, right? But what they would do is they would give you an MG. That's the scary part, getting the MGs, right? I can make films all day long with MGs, but I don't want to be locked into a distribution company. You know what I'm saying? And so what happens is that once they give you an MG, you go out, you can take that MG to a bank, and like a Chase Bank or a Fifth Third Bank or Bank of America, and they would MG, which was basically saying that, no matter what happens with the film, right? As long as you have this cash, what we're going to do, we're going to give you this money. It's like, it's payable on demand. Like once you get that MG, you can take it and you can get your film financed. That is the easiest way to get a movie financed, is by attaching talent to your movie. Now, here's the deal. Getting the talent attached is the difficult part.
Right. That was my next question.
Yeah. And so because what you're doing is based off, like Trey knows, it's based off relationships. So if you have a relationship with these different people and you say, okay, this is what we want to do, like form a type of partnership. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you look at most of my movies, right? If you look at My First Love was a partnership with me, Gabriel Dennis, and Pooh Child. Black Coffee was a partnership with me, Erica Hubbard, right? uh, uh, um, and Darren Henson, right? Let Us Make Eve was a partnership with me and Jasmine, right? So forth and so on. So you form these partnerships with actors, whereas they say, okay, I'm going to give you an attachment letter, right? And by the end of the day, I want to get paid off the back end. And you form partnerships with these actors, and they'll be willing to come on board and to but then getting to the agent, right? That's the difficult part, because a lot of agents, right, they don't want to attach their talent to projects they believe that would never get made, because that to them that decreases the value of that actor. And so it's always based off relationships. So if you can establish some type of relationship with different actors, that's the key to getting financing.
Do we still have you, or you gotta go?
Oh, I got damn, it's 9:30.
See, you know what he said to me? He was like, I got 15 minutes for you. I was like, not on the
No,
block.
when people start talking, it's like, okay, we can go to 10 o'clock my time.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Does anyone in the chat or on the panel have any questions for anyone on the panel or the chat? I am an actress.
I have a
So
question.
is
Sabrina Revelle. What's going on, Sabrina?
so is Trey.
I'm sorry, just not like now, right? You have Sabrina Revelle, right? Who just logged into my Instagram.
Hi, Sabrina.
On Disney, yeah, she's on a Disney show. Accessible, but she's very like talented, right? And that's that, like for independent filmmakers, right? With great content, because she wants to do great content. You'll form a partnership with her. She's just on a hit Disney show. And so I'll call the it's about the basketball, the Disney show with the basketball. Sabrina, what's the name of your show? I should know the name of this show. I think it's called Double. Yeah.
Watch your mics.
Yeah. So those are like actors who are on hit shows, right, on a Disney show, and those who would love to form partnerships with independent filmmakers, but they want to do particular content. They're just not just doing anything. They want particular content.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't want any more. I can't do another gun, man.
No,
I can't do another gun, man. I can't do another gun. I advertised this tonight with the gun. That is like everywhere. People be like, hey, I gotta listen. Every director that hits me up, I got a role for you. It's gonna be great. And I'll be like, okay, what is it? Thank you. All right.
That's the name of the show, Double Cross.
Double Cross.
Yeah.
Double Cross. Okay, so welcoming Spro to the channel. How are you, Spro Show?
Swell. I heard you guys were talking about the pictures. And
we are talking about the pictures. we are. Thank you, Tab Records. Tab Records says Jen rocked out on Bad Girls 2. Had me shook. Yeah, I was a mean girl in the movie.
I started it, actually. I didn't finish it. I think it was after like your character's intro in the tub where you're like, I will destroy them. Yeah. I didn't get too far, but I definitely see what you mean. I'll say this though, on a technical standpoint, it is the best Tubi movie I've seen so far. Clearly, whoever edited it is competent. No, like really? I said the best on so far on Tubi. Okay. It's not a but yeah, I definitely get what you mean. There were like 3 sex scenes in the first 30 minutes that served no purpose to the story.
Yeah. And that's the thing. And that's what I want to talk about too. Like, that's the thing. Like, that's why moving forward, I have to be careful now. At first it was fun because like, oh, I want to get better and I'm just going to take these roles. And now I'm like, there's 3 sex scenes before they even see me. And I'm very hands-on. Like the tub scene was just supposed to be a tub scene. I was like, no, I need someone to get me 2 gallons of milk. I need someone to get me some rose petals. I will get them myself if you don't get them. I'm like, this character is rich. She's used to, taking a certain type of bath. I'm not going to be naked under this water. And if you put milk in it, it'll be foggy. It'll be sexy. Trust me. And sometimes it's hard to work with directors. We ask directors all the time, is it hard to work with actors? But some directors are hard to work with because they will not budge on their vision. How much leeway do you give an actor, Mark? Like how much can they ad lib? How much, you know what I mean?
Well, it depends on the actor, it depends on the actor, but for Let Us Make Eve, they didn't have much because Let Us Make Eve it was like a special kind of project that we were doing, right? With a special kind of message, right? So like with White People Money, man, y'all was just cutting up. You know what I'm saying? Like Aaron Spears was like a lot of that stuff. Aaron Spears, he was coming off the top of his head, but Let Us Make Eve was a different type of project, whereas the actors, like, they didn't have to, but they stuck to the script because each line, there was a message in each line. We had a message in White People Money, but like when you're dealing with like an Aaron Spears, I love to give Aaron Spears that freedom because Aaron Spears will give you what you need. You know what I'm saying? But it just depends on the
hilarious.
Actor. He's funny.
Absolutely hilarious. This is a great question. Black Lexicon asks, what are the most expensive costs associated with making a film? Where does most of the money go?
Craft services. It's like,
bro.
Yeah. So, but it all depends on the film too, right? So, because you have different line items, right? So it all depends on the film. Like, let's say, for instance, if you look at Let Us Make Eve, most of the money went towards my actors, right? But then my actors, then my camera crew, and my wardrobe, and so, but it just depends on it just depends on the film. Because sometimes, like on some independent films, the actors may not even get paid off the independent film. Then they may want to put the money more towards the production. It just all depends, and there's no right way or wrong way of doing it. It's just how you trying to get this movie made, which is the most important thing, right? How are we trying to get this movie made?
POP Presents says, I recommend Mark and Jen's movie, White People Money. Very funny. Very, very funny. It's very, very funny. Okay. Everybody loved it. Very family friendly.
I have a question,
Mm-hmm.
if I may. Because again, we're going through the strike and everything. And like you spoke on earlier regarding content and paying being so low, how do you, I'll address this both to you, Jen, Mark, and maybe even Trey. How do you feel about actors getting into producing and writing to broaden their skills?
I encourage it.
Same.
Yeah.
Same. I think you should know as much as you could possibly know about the business that you're in. Same.
Yeah.
That's the next natural thing, I think, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Actors, I believe actors should always participate.
Wait, has SAG started their strike?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Oh, not yet. I was saying, because I heard it was coming. Like the actors and directors, it's definitely. Personally,
yeah.
And I remember I was in high school when the last writer's strike happened, and I remember that. And I remember a lot of dope stuff came from it, but I was definitely like back in those days, especially. I was like, yo, for the writers. These days, I hope they don't get shit. I'm so freaking happy that this is happening. It's the best thing in the world because like the writers aren't there. They're ridiculous if they think they're gonna get even a piece of the crap that they're asking for. Now the actors and the directors, yeah, they'll get whatever they want. But I think this whole thing that's happening right now, and as far as like Hollywood is concerned, it's a purge. And I think the studios did it on purpose. I think that the studios are doing this so that they got like another week, or can they start getting out of contracts now? Yes, they ain't slick. They about to, because I'm telling you right now, the reason why we're getting so much bad content nowadays and like from the mainstream market, bad writing. You got 25 writers in a room, and you only pushing out 8 episodes every 2 years. Who the hell are they paying them for? To do what? And then the shows are bad.
Okay, so with that in mind, what you just said, Spro, it's a great segue into my question. I'm asking everyone this. What is everyone's ideas about ChatGPT being used in the creative process and how that affects the current writer's strike?
Can you repeat that question? I'm sorry.
What are your ideas about ChatGPT being used in the creative process and how it also affects the current writer's strike? Because what I understand is that a number of writers are concerned about that. And right now, you know, as I watch Secret Invasion, a Marvel TV show, which is actually pretty dope. The intro is AI. It was created through AI art. It's pretty good too. So, Spro, I ask you, would you
So
board with shows being spat out by Chat GPT?
well, I'm a writer, so no. But
so
I like to write.
So
Well, no, I
idea
don't. I've never
it
gotten cut a
does not
check for.
palatable because it affects your pockets, correct?
No, I've never got a cut a check for a screenplay, but
Well,
even
what
if
I'm
like even
saying
with
is
that from an
that
artistic standpoint, I think that even though the writers are concerned about it, the writers have other worries. They need to get better. They suck. So AI is the least of their problems. I think studios will definitely take advantage of AI probably to like get like, oh, what movie idea will do the best, and then like even if they have AI write full screenplays, there will always be some kind of human, or like they'll just hire 2 writers to proofread it or to fix any weird errors, but you'll always be able to tell. I don't think that we really have to be concerned with AI because everyone's going to be able to tell what stuff is AI and what stuff isn't. That doesn't mean that stuff won't make money, but like stuff like the writer strike now and like AI and all those other concerns is a good opportunity for independent artists, because to be quite honest, if you're making good content, the quality and like your finances and stuff like that don't matter too much. I mean, make sure your sound's good, but yeah, humans will always write better. I'm not concerned about AI. I think only shitty writers are worried about AI.
Here's the thing. I just want to say something about that. And being a person who actually deals with, people, who are making these films and so on and so forth, and in the entertainment industry, a lot of times we don't talk about not a necessary evil, excuse me. We don't talk about the gorilla in the room. A lot of times it's not because the writing sucks. It's the production schedule sucks. Okay? These people are not given enough time to create, something that's, amazing. They're just expected to pump out stuff, because everything becomes streamlined. We need to get 6 or 7, shows out in this small, period of time. Great art takes work. You got to write it, rewrite it. You got to come back for it. Sometimes you got to reshoot it. So on and so forth. And a lot of times people, something will come from left field and people will say, oh my God, it's incredible. It's amazing. Why can't we get more of that? Well, you never really heard from that guy. And he had about 5 years to make that shit. So, he had the time to create.
What I want to ask Mark, do you know what Chat GPT is?
No, I do not. It's not like AI.
Yeah, it's like a very fancy Google. And you can like ask it, hey, write me a script about a girl and a guy. They met in Paris. They fall in love. She's a spy. He's a chef. And then the thing will spit out an entire script to you, which is pretty terrible from the stuff I've seen. Like it's not cohesive thought. It's not what
I'm saying.
read.
They'll never last.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
you know why though, Jen, right?
No.
You understand why? Okay. So when you're writing, right, as a writer, right, when you're creating, like what brother said, right, when you're creating something, like when you're writing, right, when you sit down and you're writing from what is the soul. If there's no soul, like, what I'm saying, like soul food, if you put some soul into this food, right, then this food is good. If you're writing and there's no soul in what you're writing, the writing's not going to come out good. If you put soul into what you're writing, you could write a script in a day. If you put your soul into it, and you can write it in a day. There are some scripts that was written in 3 days that came out absolutely amazing, right? I think Kevin Smith, when he was talking about Clerks, I think he wrote Clerks in a certain amount of time. Clerks is not the greatest film, but it's a classic, right? And so, but when you put the soul into it, like the computer stuff would never last because we won't be able to identify with it because we're not like, you can't, like a movie like a Braveheart, right? What makes Braveheart so great? Because Mel Gibson put his soul into that movie. What makes Do the Right Thing so great? Because Spike Lee put his soul into that movie, right? When Goodfellas, Martin Scorsese put his soul into that movie, right? So when you put your soul into it, the true essence, the true core of who we are as human beings, when you put that into your writing, then you can write it. It doesn't take a long time. You can do that in 3 days. You can do that in an hour. It just all depends. But the computer stuff is never going to last, because as human beings, and when we're the true essence of who we are, we're soul, we're energy, the true essence of who we are, we will be able to identify with something that we've been with for such a long time. And when you talk about writing been with us since the beginning of time. And when you talk about plays and stuff like that, we will be able to identify AI writing stories for us, because they're not going to tap into our soul, because they don't even have a soul to tap into.
I want to piggyback off that real quick before you say something. There's something else. When I write, like I pick my actors beforehand, right, in my head, right? Even if it's an actor that's an A-lister and it's like, oh, you're not going to be able to get, it doesn't matter. So I pick my actors ahead of time, and then I write in their voice. And that's something that ChatGPT will never be able to do, because they don't know the personalities of people. But I literally write, like I have my cast wish list picked out. And I'm like, this is how Luis Guzman would say X, Y, and Z. This is how this person would say X, Y, and Z. And I literally write for that actor. That's something that ChatGPT is never going to be able to do, because they don't pick up the essence of that person. And I write for that individual. See, of course, like I can switch out John Leguizamo or Luis Guzman for someone else. Absolutely. I could put another actor in there. But when I'm writing in his voice, his mannerisms and everything. That's how I write. Yeah. No, Saint, you was going to say
no,
something?
I was going to say, listen, it's in its infancy right now. So I will never say it will never be able to do those things, because we don't know, but I hope it doesn't. And not just that, I think ChatGPT could be used like for ideas, like write me a script about this, and you can read over it. It might be crap, but you're like, oh, that's a pretty good idea. And then you could, a writer could use that in his own way, rewrite it or whatever. So I think it could be useful. I hope it doesn't take any, I hope it doesn't replace a human as writing as far as the meaning.
But I'm on the other end. I don't think it ever will be able to capture
I'm just saying,
the
I don't know. You might be right. So, but I want to say one more. Can I ask something? Like Spro, real quick, and Spro was saying, the writing is crap today, and he's right. There's probably a lot of bad writing, but I think editing. I didn't realize how much editing was important, because I'm not in the industry. Editing, like how much film you're editing it out, and those guys are great too. So if you get a bad editor, it might not be the writing. It could just be bad editing.
That's true.
You know what's interesting? You can't make a good movie from a bad script, but you can make a bad movie from a good script. It's very possible.
Oh yeah.
It's happened tons of times, but like it's I think it's all a piece of it. Like when I'm watching a movie, usually if I'm watching something the first time through, I'm not like thinking too hard about it. But at the same time, I can't help it. I'm usually focused on story. Now, execution and stuff will usually take you out of it. And like I said, lately, I've been watching movies that look like they cost $1 on Tubi. I'm loving it. I am loving the Tubi library, because I'm kind of using it as a film school for myself, because I'm seeing all this stuff and I'm like, look, I ain't never made a feature and I ain't got no bread, but I damn sure wouldn't have done that. Like the scripts are still bad. But right. I think like at least right now, like I'm trying to get better at writing, because you can that's your blueprint. I remember Alfred Hitchcock once said, they were like, oh, how do you do it, man? How do you get in? He was always sarcastic. So he's just like, well, the good thing is that the picture is already on paper before you shoot. And then he's like, oh, he's right. The whole thing's on paper.
That is true. Another worry, another con I think of ChatGPT is, if this machine is spitting out this information, what makes you think that in a year they're not going to be like, oh, we own that? You get what I'm saying? Like, here's my script. Here's the ChatGPT script. Now we're shooting. Now, yes, we got all these great ideas. And then just like Facebook, there's so much of your information that Facebook owns, your images, your pictures. I don't think that ChatGPT is just spitting out these scripts for free, and then you go make a movie and profit, and ChatGPT isn't going to notice, wait, that's a paragraph that we gave you. You know what I mean? That's another thing that worries me about technology. Who owns it?
Here's the thing. Let me ask you this, Jen. What's your favorite food?
Puerto Rican food. Sorry.
Okay, Puerto Rican food, right? Okay, so in the Puerto Rican community, right, who's known for making that great Puerto Rican food? Is it the grandma?
Yes,
Grandma?
hands
Okay.
down. That's who taught me how to cook. Yes.
Okay, so when you go to when you want that soul Puerto Rican food, you're not going to a computer to get you. You want to go to the authentic. You know what I'm saying? If you want, so would you want to go see Luther Vandross at a concert, or you want to go see an AI person performing Luther Vandross? You want to see
Definitely,
the real deal, right?
definitely Luther Vandross. They actually have a hologram of Whitney out here.
Well, I'm talking about the real Luther Vandross. I'm not, the real,
yes.
but yeah.
Absolutely.
So what I'm saying is the fact that when it comes to writing, right? When it comes to writing, it comes from the soul, right? It comes from the soul, and that's what, as human beings, right? We're a people. We're this body is just like it's like our clothes, right? But the true essence, the true core of who we are is energy, is the soul, and that's what we're going to identify with. You know what I'm saying? And that's where creativity comes from. It comes from the soul. So when we look at these movies and computers are writing these scripts, we're not going to be able to really identify with that. You know what I'm saying? It's not going to come out like a Braveheart or a good the soul that we're looking for. You know what I'm saying?
I agree with that. As a writer, I agree with that.
I don't think I don't think it's ready for the creative world. I don't think it ever could really truly exist in the creative world. For everything else, it's great. It's great for math. It's great for science. It's
yes.
I've actually springboarded a number of applications off of a couple of the ideas that I spat at it. You know what I mean? So it's great for the practical sense of things, but for the creative world, I don't really see it because, for instance, I tested it out and I was like, okay, give me a composition in the style of Mozart. And he gave me like a good 16 bars. And I read it, looking at it. And I know what I'm looking at. I'm like, this sucks. You know what I mean? Because you can tell that the only thing it did is take the magic flute and it took some other shit. It chopped it up and it just rearranged it.
You know, it had no soul, right?
It didn't really create anything. It just took all the information that it knows that it can just grab, put it up in a bag, and just throw it at me. So I know it. So I know it when I see it. So I was like, okay, yeah, this is not for that. You know what I mean? For other things, it's great for, but not this, which is fine. You know, I personally don't want to watch a show that has been produced by ChatGPT. I just don't. You know what I mean? Like, I would like to see an authentic show written by human beings, angry Puerto Ricans. You know what I mean?
Coming soon. It's funny because I have a friend who did get a script generated from ChatGPT, then was calling me stressed out. Can you fix this? You can pay me, I'll fix it. But that's what's going to happen. You're gonna get those scripts. You're not gonna like it. It's not gonna make sense. And you know, who did he call? The human writer to fix it. What's up, Eat Black TV?
I'm gonna have to check out.
All right, but answer one last question before you go. What genre are they looking for right now? What should writers be writing? Horror, comedy? What's popular right now?
Anything, because you have anything. Because again, you have Netflix, you have Tubi, you have Hulu, and they're hungry for content. Okay, it's like they want content and they're looking for content. So create content, create TV shows are always great, which is what we're going off into, creating more TV shows, and get away from the feature films. But the TV shows are always great. So because what happens that with the TV shows, they keep people glued, and that's what they want to do, right? And so just create the content.
I wrote good cliffhangers, so watch out for our show is going to be a hit. Watch and see.
It's great.
All right, thank you so much, Mark.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Jen.
Okay, thank you.
Jen, before you go, I just want Mark, before you go, I just want to say on behalf of South Bay Management Group that I'm looking forward to seeing Jen and Trey Ryan and a Mark Harris film.
Yes.
Well,
Agreed.
you can watch
Agreed.
White People Money. I'm already in the film on a Mark Harris production.
I'm gonna watch that, but I'm looking for the new film, the new one that he's gonna do, and we're gonna get Trey.
I'm ready for you.
Absolutely.
I'm ready for
Yes.
I just want to tell you guys.
Very much.
I just want to say,
Thank you.
Dana, I'm not leaving. Mark has to go, so then we could talk about him behind his back.
Yeah, that's fine. I just want to say I appreciate everybody's artistry. I've learned a lot from here, and I really enjoyed this whole conversation.
Thank you so much. Glad to see you too. Don Levon, the hobbyist, thank you for the super chat, says ChatGPT is just an idea generator. Once it churns out the script, you will have to rewrite almost every line, and I never had it write a complete script yet.
Well, that's kind of what I was going with. Is it could give you, if your brain freeze on, or you have a writer's block and you throw something, an idea, and it can give you an idea. Oh, okay, now I can write.
No real artist is going to do that.
You're talking about writers.
It's not going to happen.
Jen, some people do it. I mean, it's writers prompts. Like you get some prompts, you know what I mean? And
this writer's not going to do it. They punks then.
You know what I mean?
Prompt your brain.
They've done
no,
it.
listen, I'm a writer snob. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a writing snob.
Sounds like it.
I am. But I'm also an artist, and we're sensitive about our shit. I can't just, you know what I mean? I don't do the TV dinner writing. I put a lot of work into my writing, countless hours, ideas, thoughts. So when you tell me, hey, just throw it in ChatGPT and it'll give you an idea, I'm like, the fuck? Do you know what I do? Do you know I've been through blood, sweat, and tears to write this? I'm picking actors in my head and I'm scouting in my head and I'm picturing the blocking already and where the actors are standing. You want me to throw it in ChatGPT? No. So I'll take it. Call me a snob. I don't care.
No,
Mr. Justin says, you're a music snob. Don't even try it. You're a music snob.
No, I am a music snob. Very much so. I admit it.
Okay, so we'll close soon, but now we're here together. We could kind of talk shop before we go. Mr. Justin says an AI made a Rembrandt painting that took from bits from all of the Rembrandt's works. It fooled experts and the internet. AI sampling is clunky now, not in a couple of years.
I said that as well. So we don't know what's going to happen in the future.
I know no computer is going to write the way a human being writes. It's not. I mean, it'll sound like it. It'll look like it.
Here's the problem.
I'm going to fight you, no Saint.
And I saw that. Yeah, okay, I understand what Justin is saying, but here's the issue. It can only mimic what it's being told to mimic. It's not creating anything. You know what I mean?
True.
The amazing and as a art snob, when you see the Mona Lisa, it is not just the artwork itself; it's the fact that you can't even see the brush strokes. So in your mind, you're figuring out how the fuck did this motherfucker pull this off? You know what I mean? You can't see the brush strokes. So you're trying to figure out what kind of technique did he use, and Da Vinci was incredible. You know what I mean? And it only takes a human mind built from hours and hours of trial and error and nuance and so on and so forth to pull something like that off. A computer can mimic that, but if you ask it to create its own certain situation, we're eons away from that even happening.
Yeah, listen, this is where I'm going to push back a little on what Jen and you, Haran, are saying, is that, listen, there's a lot of shitty movies that make millions, in my opinion, that make millions of dollars. Like, I don't know how many Fast and Furiouses came out, and I can't tell you I saw half of one. It was, in my opinion, not my kind of movie. So the studios will take these things and try, and someone will buy it. Now, it won't be great movies. It won't be the movies I like. I like a lot of different styles that have some substance to it. But I'm saying in that genre, it may be able to pull it off, because those movies to me don't have much. Now they made millions and I didn't. So what am I going to say? But
you have a point in that. I mean, you do have a point in that. There are some movies. Look, listen, I'm not going to sit there and say that no movie is going to, ever be written entirely by ChatGPT. Somebody's going to do this shit and it's going to be terrible. You know
It's
what I
gonna
mean?
be. I think.
But
I
not
think we're.
everybody there. You know what I mean?
I think we're missing. Like, yeah, like it's like, Ice Spice is making more
Right.
money than Rhapsody right now, but Ice Spice is trash.
Right.
So you can get a Chat GPT script, still gonna be trash. And I'm speaking as an artist, right?
Yes.
So it's like, yeah, the movies will be out there. They'll still be trash, is my point. Just like Ice Spice is trash and Rhapsody isn't. That's my point. But I'm sorry, at the risk of sounding like a snob, unless you're an artist, you don't fucking get it. Because what we use to make the art is, like Mark said, it's our soul. That is what we use to make the art. So it's very, very personal to us. Ice Spice, Ice Spice you look at her face and she looks like she doesn't even know how she got there. This is her on stage. Like, I don't know how I got here, but I'm just going to keep going because the money's coming. Right. Yep. And then you have somebody like Rhapsody who nobody gives a damn about. Right?
We'll check this out. So behind me is this here. That's one of my paintings. Okay. I've been a professional illustrator for over 20 years. And I submitted a cover to a client of mine, and he sent it off to just some friends of his to check it out before it goes into print. And the people came back and said, that looks like it's done by an AI. Okay. So there is an AI. It's called Midjourney. MID Journey. Okay. And you can access its coding through Discord. And basically you type in /imagine and then type in anything you want, and it will create imagery based on this. So I decided, I did a little joke thing, and I said, I picked a bunch of celebrities, musicians and actors, pictures of them sneezing. And it produced amazing works. And they're like mostly correct on the features. Like, it's not exact, but you're like, oh yeah, I can tell that's Al Pacino. Right. And so the thing is, though, is that this just started and it's damn close. It's to the point where the untrained eye can't tell the difference. Art directors now, they can. Okay. They can tell the difference between an AI generated image. Like it feels like it's good, but there's a lifelessness to it. Okay. But it's still really good. Like 90% of the populace will be like, that's great. And then pass on. Okay. The thing is, though, is that it's going to get more and more and more sophisticated to the point where no one's going to be able to tell the difference. And it's just the way the development of technology is. Like, you look at like the first animated movies, you look at like Toy Story, you look at that shit and compare it to like the new Spider-Verse movie. Okay. Or the generated stuff used by like LucasArts. Okay. It's almost real. Like it's right on the edge. You're like, holy shit, that's getting fucking good. Right.
Yeah, I noticed that with video games too.
Yeah, and so eventually, celebrities are going to be they're going to be licensing their likeness. They're no longer going to be acting; they're just going to be voice acting, and then eventually, their voices will be duplicated as well. Because, like, I mean, shit, I've seen the memes of like Obama like doing like joke memes with Biden, right? And it sounds like it's like 95% their voice. Right. And you're like, yeah, that passes. So it reminds me of this movie. If you've ever seen the first Blade Runner movie with Harrison Ford. Right. And he's investigating some of the androids, and he's hunting down Zora. OK. And Zora worked as a pole dancer. OK. And her thing was like with the snake. Right. She had a snake around her, and he was pretending to be an inspector, try to get close to her and all this stuff. And he's in his role of the inspector, and he says to her, ma'am, is that a real snake? And she said, do you think if I could afford a real snake, I'd be working at a dump like this? But it was so real. And the only way to tell that it was not real is by taking a scale, because he found a scale in her bathtub, which is how he tracked her down, put it into an electron microscope. You know, the things that like you put a grain of salt on there and you zoom in and it looks like a fucking like alien mountain region. Okay. There was a barcode on that scale at a microscopic level. That's the only way you could tell that it wasn't a real snake. Okay. You know what I'm saying? So technology is going to get to the point where you look at a painting and you're like, shit, I can't tell the difference between, a simulated one and one created by a human, except the person who said, yes, I created that. I'm human. That's it. But the thing is, though, is to her point, she said, if I could afford a real snake, right?
Mhm.
So us creatives, it's because it's going to be known that like, yeah, you can get some really fancy shit that looks like the real deal, and it's good enough for most people. Those that can afford a real hand painted painting by a human, right, or a song written by a human, they're gonna pay top premium for that
Right.
because that's
Thank you.
bragging rights.
Okay, thank you for the super chat. Fahim Jackson. Fahim Jackson says, as much as artists care about the soul, these studios are run by multinational corporations. They unfortunately don't care about the soul as long as it's good enough to satisfy the shareholders. Yeah, of course.
Sure.
Well,
That's
that's what I was making earlier about, this is how you get bad writing, bad human writers. You know what I mean? Because the goal is just to hit the production, dates, satisfy the fucking shareholders, and we can't create a good piece of work. You know what I mean?
yeah. I don't understand that. I'll watch a Netflix series and then they'll like the second season is coming 3 years from now, and then we wait the 3 years, and then it's trash. They did it with the show You. They did it with another show. I was like, yeah, you made us wait 3 years, and it's trash. We waited.
The last season of You was fucking horrible.
It was horrible. I was like, who wrote this? How are you gonna? Anyway, guys, any more questions at all for me, for Trey, for Dana?
Yes, I got a question for you.
Me.
Yes, you.
Uh oh.
What is your acting? What is the concept of acting from your perspective?
The concept of acting is storytelling. Storytelling. Very simply, storytelling, telling that character's story.
Okay, so and another one. I got a few for you.
Okay.
What kind of role would you like to take on? Because I know you're tired of the cocaine boss mama roles.
I am.
And what?
I'll take a cocaine boss mama role.
What role do you want to play that is a stretch from what you're used to, and maybe something that you never even thought of probably yet?
I gotta say, this is gonna sound weird because most actors are very,
I can see you in sci-fi, by the way. I can see you in sci-fi, by the way.
Yeah, I was going. Yep, that's where I'm veering into. This is gonna sound weird because most actors, when you ask them that, they think very solitary, right? I'm still dying to be on an ensemble cast. It is like my dream to be on a kick-ass ensemble cast. Most actors are like, I would like to play the Statue of Liberty, but I would love to work with a group of actors and we're just kicking ass throughout and playing off each other. Like, I grew up and my first love of my life was Vasquez from Aliens, and it's stuck for life. It's stuck for life. So I would like to play a character that's on an ensemble cast. I'd like my character to be more sci-fi, more interesting, more detailed, more complicated. My character, I love some of the characters I play, but they're very simple. They're very, very, like I could do it with one, my eyes closed, one hand behind my back, I'm from the Bronx. So it's like, okay, this girl kills people. She runs around with a gun. It's not a stretch. And half the time I'm bringing my own clothes to set because, the stylist is either bringing some shit that doesn't match my character in my head or it doesn't fit. So what I do is I always ask production, it's like, look, I got some shit, or give me the budget. I'll just go buy her clothes. I know this character. I've studied her. I know what she would wear. So, and they'll give you leeway because it's like one less job they got to do. So they'll just, you know what I mean, cut you the check.
I just want to say one thing, in this particular space. This is great right here. As an artist, from one artist to another, I truly have a great deal of respect for you. This is no pandering.
Thank you.
Because you know how much of a snob I am when it comes to music.
Yes, I do.
Yes, I do. I am a certain thing. You and I go back and forth about you want me to do this, and I'm just like, I don't.
It's like fucking pulling teeth with you.
You know what I mean? Because yes, I am very much. But anyway.
No, but I understand. But artist to artist, I understand. I totally understand.
Yeah, you do get it. You do get it, and that is why I respect you, because you get it, and you burn the midnight oil on these scripts, on these ideas, the ideas that you tell
Oh,
me.
Mark just gave me another one. He was like, "You got a couple weeks." I'm like, Mark, but I
You
got
got
to
some
do
good
it.
ideas. I will say that you have some good ideas.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Listen, I want to ask Trey Ryan some things because I haven't heard a lot from him.
Trey was a sponge. Trey was a sponge.
Yeah,
a
yeah.
lot,
So
of, a lot of the other side of the camera. So yeah.
So where are you from? How did you get into acting? Give us some feedback on that.
I'll give you the quick version. I'm born and raised in Cleveland, Ohio. So I'm from the hood, man. Went in the military out of high school, took me out to California where I started my acting career. I was on Cisco's Shakedown back in 2000. That was my first time being on TV. I did 13 episodes on that for the summer. It was awesome. Then I caught the bug. I did a background film called Play the Hip Hop Story with Faison Love, Tony Braxton, and Merlin Santana, rest in peace. He was on it also. So you progress and you get better and you get bigger roles and now I'm to a point now I can be a little bit picky about what I decide to do. You know what I mean? So it's a passion. It really is. It really is. And that's
that's cool.
Yeah, really quickly. Thank you for the super chat. Down the bottom, the hobbyist says, I think Jen would be great in a romantic comedy. Well, what I just wrote, the dramedy, is pretty much in that lane. So,
all right.
Well, you wrote now, Jen. So, what did you learn from Mark to help you out with what you're writing? What do you think?
What did I learn from Mark? That's a good
question. You got a
question.
lot of info. Yeah.
The most important thing constantly, he's telling me, just write, just put it out, just do it, just do it constantly. Because he says most people start a project and then they stop in the middle. They never finish. So they have like 10, 15 scripts and none of them are ever done. So he also challenges me like with deadlines. Like I was playing with him the other day on the phone and I was like, imagine a movie where this would happen, blah, blah, and it would be like a comedy horror, like that movie Bad Hair. And he was like, oh, you're writing that. And I was
That's
like,
how it starts. Yeah.
I was like, no, I was just kidding. He was like, no, you got a couple weeks. And I was like,
that's how it starts.
Wait.
Buddy.
But then when he told me that, like the juices start, flowing. And it's like, okay, I want to write this. I want to create this. I want to see how it goes. Another thing I want to say about us from the hood, right? It's cliche, but a lot of our art is what we use to survive and to take us out of the gunshots outside, the funerals, the death, this and that. So it's like it's very precious to us. But I learned from Mark resiliency. Mark does not stop, and that's why I made it a point to ask him, how much did your first film cost? $500 to now you're doing $500K. Yeah. Okay, and he did not stop, and he's rigid. When he has a vision, and that's what it is. Like I lightly suggest with Mark because he's very tunnel vision, right? So respectfully, I don't tell him much. I will suggest. I suggested what to do with my character, and in White People Money, it really was a good family environment, and my boyfriend was supposed to be a robber. Him and I were robbing the places and they come on with ski masks. And I was like, no, Mark, I want to pay ode to dead presidents. So I was like, can I go get some masks and paint them like dead presidents, like the dead president mask? He was like, yeah, go ahead, do it. And I brought it to set. He was like, yo, like everybody was like, yo, that's just so dope. Cause it was the dead president's mask. And I'm like, this girl, she's kind of like, she's goofy like that. So this is the kind of mask she would wear because she likes the movie. And he loved it. He kept the mask. He kept the mask. I don't even have them because I did one for me and one for the guy that I was playing, across. So yeah, but and also he's very good at being patient around the bullshit. Because like I said earlier, when he was here, I saw bullshit, and I have a short nerve, especially when I'm on set. I don't like playing around too much. I think people should respect other people's fucking time. So when I see someone barreling in an hour and a half after call time, and now you got to get in makeup, and also another thing that upset me greatly, someone giving you the opportunity and you not reciprocating just gratitude. Like when Mark did White People Money, I knew it was going to be hard to promote, and everybody, I'm talking about everybody that knew Mark was like, yo, who is that girl? Haran, I bombarded my timelines with that film. I got creative with the ads. I added music to it. I called Mark. I said, Mark, I need some money. I want to go get some t-shirts. I say white people money is going to attract attention because people are going to be like, white people money. You want more money than the usual, right? I did that. So, I would say this, and then I'll pass the mic because we're almost done. In any situation, do more than you're asked to do. Those are the people that shine. Those are the people that people want to work with, right? If you're on set and if you could take something off the director's plate or somebody else, that stands out. Most actors, they show up to set. Where do I stand? Where do I wait? Where's my water? And I'm talking about even on the independent level. I'm not talking about Hollywood. I've seen girls walk in and men too, they do it. They walk in and I'm like, you don't know them from a can of paint. And they're like, I'll sit over here. Let me know when I'm ready. I'm not that girl. I'm very, very hands-on. I've been on set mixing fake blood. I'm helping people scout. I'm helping with wardrobe, you know what I mean? And I don't have to do that. I could walk in, do my lines, collect my check, and exit, right? But I really like being of service. That's how you build your network. Do more than you have to. Get there earlier, leave later. You know what I mean? I was burnt out. We did 16 hours. I was burnt, but Mark Harris is such a good director and he cares so much about the cast that I'm like, I'm gonna give him to my last till I can't breathe. But I was burnt, like I was fucked up and cranky and I was like, I can't do another hour. I can't fucking do it. We have to, like when other people were fucking up their lines, I was ready to snap because I'm like, I've been here 15 hours. I cannot. Why the fuck didn't you memorize your lines, bitch? You know what I mean? Like, it's like, I've been here all day. So you have to think about that because, I've been in productions where like the leads didn't lift one finger to promote the film. Not one. And I was supporting and all day on Facebook, on Instagram or whatever. So just be of good use when you work with people. It's so important. And I think people don't realize that. It's not just coming in and being bubbly and hi. Be of use on set. Be of use. Be someone that when the production is over, they're going to be like, yo, but that girl, remember when she was here and blah, blah. That is what you want in this business. And I'm not talking about be a gopher. I'm saying be of use. Don't be a kiss ass. Be of use, real use, right? But that's the last thing I have to say. So there's absolutely nothing else. We can close, guys.
I'm good.
Are we good?
All right.
Are we good?
Yep.
Okay, so thank you so much for giving me your time tonight. Great meeting you, Trey. I don't know.
Sweetheart, you too.
Where did you see my page? Like, how did you come to know of me?
My managers. Dana is one of my managers, actually. So they put me on it. That's Trey, you need to get on this call. And it was spur of the moment. I'm in the gym working out. It was spur of the moment. I'm like, I'll be on. Let's do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, that stands out to me. I love that because when I was communicating, so I was communicating with Dana in the DMs.
Mm-hmm. Crystal Ellis.
Okay, Crystal Ellis. Okay, so I was like, because when we do this, right, a lot, you know how it is. A lot of people are like, I want to be down. I want in. And I'm like, yeah, okay, what I do is, there goes the time. Do what you want with it. We're on at 8:30. Do what you want with that. I got other shit to do. You know what I mean? I got other shit to do. So when I did get the response of we're there, I'm like, boom, let's go. Let's do it. Right. Mm-hmm. So that's another thing to think about. You never know when you're going to get the call. You never know who you're talking to. You never know who's watching us right now. You never know who people know. So it's important to show up and be seen. But you guys were a joy. I'm glad you're here. We have trending topics all week long. But tonight I wanted to dedicate it to the film industry because, some people threw some hate on me like, oh, you know, your films go straight to streaming. And I'm like, that's the industry now. So
that's right.
I'm like, I took
movie theaters
negative,
are shutting down all over the place.
I took a negative and turned it into a positive. I was like, we're going to teach tonight. And here we are. And we did, and we learned, and we met new people. We networked in 2 hours. So, keep in touch, guys. Yeah. And let's follow each other. Thank you.
And can I just say, I'm just going to put a shout out again to my Trey Ryan. Look forward to a movie we have. It's in editing right now, post-production. It's called Fight for Love. He's awesome. We'll keep you, we'll let you know when it comes out, but we just want to put that out on notice. I enjoyed it. And I love your closing remarks. They were beautiful. They were perfect.
Go ahead, Trey. Go ahead, Trey. Get your close-up, baby.
I got you.
Okay, guys, thank you so much. Good night, and please
Thank
come
you.
back. This was On the Block with Jen. Hit that like and subscribe on your way out for Mama, and stay tuned for tomorrow. Good night.
Good night.
Appreciate you.
And we're out. All right, guys, if you want to continue supporting the show On the Block with Jen Cash App, I hope you enjoyed this. No, we weren't arguing back and forth and dragging people, so there's not a lot of people in the room. This was educational, and I'm very happy about it. I told you, I'm not doing that smut shit just to get people in the room. A lot of people are good. This is going to help a lot of people, and that's what I'm very, very proud of. So if you know anybody in the arts, it doesn't have to be acting, let them see this, okay? Share it, all right? We got to have more positive, content on there. We have enough of the riffraff and the hot garbage. It's saturated, okay? So thank you so much for giving me your time. I do not take it for granted. Good night.